all of my humor is basically The Office. So.
Oh, well, that'll work perfect. You should see I have a Bears Beats Battlestar Galactica. I have a sticker on my water bottle that has all the like epic quotes from The Office on one sticker. It's amazing.
Nice.
Yes.
Well, John, thanks for coming on today. Seriously, good to have you. Okay, so you do a lot of things. What's kind of your focus right now? What are you trying to promote? What are you trying to grow in at the moment?
So right now, I'm really trying to build my business and my business as a freelance actor, whether it be voice, whether it be on stage, whether it be on camera. Like that's what I'm trying to build. I'm trying to build out that business. Yeah. So that I can hopefully, one day my dream would be that's my job, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's my passion is acting, really performing. I would categorize it as performing. Yeah. Which is why, you throw the music in there too. So I absolutely love performing. Like that's what energizes me. I feel most myself when I'm performing. I've never seen a stage that I didn't want to be on. And that gets frustrating sometimes. You go to a concert and you're like, you start to daydream about, are they going to call me up there to sing the next song? Because that would be awesome. That could be me. So I absolutely love performing. So I found I'm trying to, at my age at this point, I finally decided that that's it. Like that's performing is what I want to do. And so that's why I started pursuing voice acting about a year ago. Mm-hmm. I've been on stage. I've been doing musical theater since high school. Oh, okay. And I did that in high school and college, and then kind of took a break, got married, had kids, and then got back into that in 2018. Yeah. I live in Batesville, so got back into that through community theater there, and then that's kind of snowballed into now I've started voice acting, and I've started pursuing acting on camera as well. So it's just, man, it's so much fun. Like it's so much fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. So can you think of you talked about musical theater, maybe that was it, but what kind of originally sparked that, like, ooh, this is something I want to do?
Oh yeah, no, I know the moment. It was my sophomore year in high school. I was in my very first musical. It was Annie, Get Your Gun. Mm-hmm. I was the role of Sitting Bull. I had 50 lines, counted every one of them, and said my first one, opening night, walked out in front of the curtain. It was a real short scene in front of the curtain. I raised my hand and said the word how in my, best Native American tone. Everybody laughed. And I was like, yep, we're doing this.
This is it.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah. So kind of never looked back from that. And
that's awesome.
Like I said, I had to take a break for a while, but now having the opportunities I do, and it's just been a huge blessing over the last year. I recently kind of redid my resume and for acting. And as I looked back over the last year and like all the things I've been able to be a part of, I'm just like blown away. Yeah, by that, yeah.
Man, that's awesome. So I know we had you in one of our videos not too awful long ago, but even just wondering, you've probably been through quite a few projects at this point.
Yeah.
Can you think of any that stand out that were your favorite, or maybe weird ones that you've done?
Well, the one I did with you guys was awesome. That was super fun. That was just a really cool, that was kind of like my first commercial on camera.
Oh, yeah.
That was great. I did some voiceovers for Bryce Canyon, which is out in Utah. I did a series of 5 voiceovers for them, so I'm still waiting for them to get released.
Yeah.
Back in January, I was able to do an on-camera gig for some industrial training for a shock and strut company. That was an all-day shoot. It was like, man, that was awesome. That was just a good time, right? If I'm in front of a microphone or camera, like I said, that just pumps me up. So. And then right now I'm actually in the middle of a voiceover project. I'm narrating the book of Proverbs. For a online faith-based audiobook site. Yeah. It's in the KJV. So it's
what's the these and thous?
These and it's not even the these and thous. It's like the F's. It's all the F's. like forsaketh and froward. Froward is a big word in the KJV. I'm like, where do these words come from? But that's what they wanted, and I'm a little over a third of the way through it, so I'm working my way through that. But that's a fun one too. So yeah, I just have fun. It's exciting. Yeah,
that's awesome. So are you doing this stuff full time, or you're working toward doing it full time?
I'm hoping to one day do it full time. Right now, full time, I'm a controls engineer for a data center company.
Okay.
The largest data center company in the world.
So the same kind of work, basically.
Same kind of work. Yeah. Sit behind a computer all day. Yeah, it's basically the same. Yeah. Sit behind a computer, go to meetings. I've been doing controls engineering since I graduated 23 years ago.
Oh, okay.
So I have a little bit of experience.
Yeah, a little bit.
But the position I'm in right now it's really good. It allows I don't have to travel. It allows me then to have the time to go do all those other things, and I work from home, so it gives me flexibility as well. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's my day job. But the goal is to work towards that. To do acting.
So I mean, what does that look like for you? Because I know I've definitely been in that position. A lot of people are in that position of kind of the work they have to do, and then pursuing a passion to try to make that their full-time gig. But also, like you said, you're also looking at family time and how you protect some of that. And just what does that balance kind of look like for you? Have you found anything that helps kind of keep you in check and that kind of stuff?
Gosh, the balance is hard. Yeah. Because what you're passionate about is what you want to do.
For sure.
And I have to realize that portion, I have to put a lot of patience into that portion, right? I know this is going to be a process, right? It's not going to flip overnight. It's going to be a process. A lot of the people I've talked to, they do voiceover or they do acting for 5, 6, 7 years part-time until they finally establish themselves and they can take that step. And that's really that's what I got to try to keep in my head, is that this is a process. It's the marathon, not the sprint. Yeah. And just remember that. But as far as the balance goes, I kind of have a good routine now for how I handle it. I'm able to do voiceovers in the mornings before I have to go, sit at my desk for my day job. Yeah. And then I'm able to, be flexible with, things like doing this or when I book an on-camera gig, and I have to take a day off or whatever. But I right now I feel like I have a good balance. My wife may disagree, but
there's two sides most of the time.
There's two sides most of the time. She understands that I'm passionate about this, and she recognizes that. I feel like I'm good at it. I have a long way to go. But the feedback I've gotten and the amount of things I've gotten to do, the amount of work I've booked, just being on my own as a freelancer over the last year, it kind of lends me to the fact that, maybe there is something there.
Yeah. So, well, even just we've found as we've kind of grown as a company, and if we need actors or whatever, most of the time it's pulling in a friend or some people that work at the company we're doing a video for or whatever. And seriously, going into working with someone like you, it's night and day for real. Just the process of being able to concentrate on the video side of things and knowing that like the actor's going to put in a good performance and like they're here for this. They're not just like, well, my boss told me they'd buy me lunch if I sat in on this. But I don't know. I guess I think it would be good for a lot of people to know that, like the difference when you're doing video and you're just pulling people in to someone who legitimately is passionate about it, who strives to be good at it, and it makes the whole process infinitely better and the final product that much better. So
absolutely.
I think that's just huge. And honestly, where we are here in Indiana, it's not always the easiest thing to find either. So I think that's great. Is there, even out of the stuff you've done or maybe things you haven't done yet, that you're really wanting to get into? I know I'm sure you enjoy all of it because like you said, you're a performer, and you're probably like me a lot in, if you were doing the same thing all the time, it would just drive you crazy. So different projects are good. But is there anything even maybe between voiceover and acting where you feel like, Ooh, I'd really love to move further into that. Or
so for voiceover, one of my like long-term goals is to get into video games and do video game voiceover. I would love to be a character in a game that I would play.
Yeah.
Right? Some sort of AAA game. That would be awesome. Like that would be like mind-blowing.
Be so much more creative than reading a script from a commercial or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and a couple of the other areas that maybe aren't so glamorous, but there's things like, I mean, e-learning. And e-learning is a huge business, and it's really growing right now with a lot more people being remote and all those kinds of things. So e-learning is a really good area in voiceover that I'm trying to work my way into as well, because I want to get to steady work, right? You find clients that are doing those kinds of projects, e-learning. I love to teach too. I'm also a volunteer youth pastor at my church.
Oh, okay.
And really passionate about that and about teaching and helping students understand their faith, and teaching is something that's in my family. Both my sisters are teachers, and something I love to do. So e-learning is a way that I can do both of those things at the same time, and do it with, in a way that's engaging, because a lot of times e-learning can be boring if the person talking to you is talking like this and they're just saying the words. But if you can present it in an engaging manner and draw people in, like, it's just so much more helpful, I think, and gives people more confidence in the material they've learned. So that's another area. Video games obviously is more glamorous, but
it'd be pretty cool.
I would love to be the voice of Indiana. Like that is one of my long-term goals. You got Tim Allen's the pure Michigan guy, and I want John Basler to be the Indiana guy, whatever that thing is.
There you go.
So
you need to snatch up the domain, the voice of Indiana.
Yeah, the voice of Indiana. Dang it! Now someone's gonna grab it. But,
I'm gonna go get it right now. I'll sell it to you.
Yeah, there you go. No, but stuff like that, tours and videos and whatnot. Those are like the ones I did for Bryce Canyon. That was fun. It was good. It's informative. It's helpful. It helped people see things that they want to go see. So it's pretty cool. So I guess those are some areas.
Yeah,
I'm looking for.
That's cool. So I guess how are you at the moment? Even just thinking of someone who's in the same realm as you, or even just kind of trying to promote themselves in a way, like how have you gone about trying to find clients? Like, has it been mostly online platforms? How are you really kind of going after new gigs, I guess?
So I do several things at this point. So for voiceover, there are pay-to-play sites. So you pay a membership fee, you get access to auditions.
Yeah.
And that way I could do as many auditions a day as I wanted to there's 2 different sites that I'm on. And I've booked work on both of them. And sometimes, the rates aren't great on there, but it's work, right? It gives you work, it gives you portfolio, you're building experience. So that's one way and that's really the way I started out. I have a website. So I have a website and I have a commercial voiceover demo. I'm still working on footage for a reel for on-camera stuff.
Oh, okay.
But I have on my website, which is johnbasler.com. Just plug in there for that.
Throw it out there.
johnbasler.com. I have my commercial demo. I have 9 or so samples of voiceover work that I've actually done. And then I do have on-camera stuff that I've done. A short film from last summer, and the commercial I did with you guys is actually featured on there.
Yeah.
So I have that out there, and then I do direct marketing through email. So I have a database that I get email addresses from. It's a paid service, but I can go in and get email addresses of production houses and advertising agencies, and I can go out and market myself that way through direct email.
Oh, okay.
Which is another way. That's one of those like tedious things that you got to do. Like you go to be an actor to perform, but you got to remember that you're running a business. And if you don't approach it like you're running I'm sure it's the same for you.
Oh my gosh.
If you don't approach it like you're running a business, then it's not going to go anywhere. And businesses take marketing, and they take sales, and they take client relationships, and they take all of that stuff. Right? There's project management involved, because you got to know how to set up the job, how to invoice the job, how to communicate, how to make sure you get paid. And some of my previous experience has helped me build that previous experience from my day job. Being an engineer, being a project manager, all those things has fed into this. So there's that, and then social media is kind of the last way. I actually have found a lot of audition opportunities through Facebook. Actually, we met through Facebook, right?
We did.
Yeah. So there are a lot of. I've actually been blown away by how many different networks there are. There's the Indiana Filmmakers Network, which is a group page on Facebook.
Yep.
I found a bunch of auditions there. Met a lot of really cool people through there. And then there's three different ones I look at in Ohio, like Southeast Ohio, just to kind of keep tabs on, right? And keep tabs on what's going on and look for audition opportunities. And a lot of that's more the on-camera stuff. But, I try to stay connected, try to meet people. I've met some amazing people in the voiceover community alone. Like that is one of the most encouraging, supportive communities I've ever been a part of.
Really?
Yeah, it's
That's awesome.
I mean, you would think as actors, you're kind of like, you're doing your own thing. You want to win, and you want to get the job, you want to book that. But it's almost odd in voiceover. I feel like everyone I've come across, with maybe one or two exceptions, is someone who's rooting for me, someone who wants me to succeed, and is really encouraging me along the way. And that has been super cool.
That's awesome
to be a part of. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously you're kind of in the midst of growing this thing and everything, but do you have anything up to this point that kind of difficulties you've hit that you would kind of have advice for someone who's wanting to do what you're doing? I mean, for me, one of the things you said, just even about the business side versus the creative side, it is hard for a lot of creative people to even think about the business side.
Yeah.
Like they don't want to. You want to ignore it, but that's the reason there are lots of talented people out there who never do it.
Right.
Honestly,
Yeah.
So I think that's a huge part of it. And I mean, maybe that's where you'd have some advice, but what would you say to someone if they're wanting to kind of get into voiceover and acting and kind of that performance side of things?
Yeah, I think that's a big one. I think if this is something you're serious about doing, then you have to approach it from a business perspective, or it's a hobby.
Yeah.
Right? If you want it to be a hobby, that's great. You can have it as a hobby. You can do it for fun. You can make some money doing it. But if you intend for it to be a business, if you want to build it into a career, you have to approach it from a business perspective, because that's how all the successful people that I've come across in the voiceover industry, that's what they're doing. And the other part is for voiceover specifically, I guess in acting in general, but voiceover specifically, a lot of people think, oh, I've got a nice voice. But I would say any voice can be a successful voiceover actor.
Sure.
Any voice can do it, because it's about the performance. It's not necessarily about the sound or the tone of your voice. There are specific things that people look for. On this project, I hear a lot of, we want a Sam Elliott or we want a Morgan Freeman, right?
Gosh.
I'm like, so I pass on those, because
Yeah.
I'm neither of those people. And I'm realistic with myself to know that that's probably not a job I'm going to book.
Yeah.
So there are times when it's specific, but it's more about the performance. It's, can you connect with the audience? Can you connect with your client's client through the script that they've given you and communicate that message? And that takes a performance, right?
Sure.
And a lot of times now, I think one of the biggest things in voiceover right now, at least that I've come across, is they want a conversational read.
Yep.
Right? They don't want a read that sounds like you're reading. It's not, it's not the voiceovers of the 70s and 80s where it's very announcer type and very over the top.
Yeah.
They want a voiceover just like you and me talking. And so that takes practice. Like that was one of the first things I came across was I was used to being on stage doing musical theater. And if you're doing musical theater, you have to be big.
Oh yeah.
Right? Because you have to give the same performance to the person in the back row that you're giving to the person in the front row.
Yeah.
And that's big and huge. And you're like, you're trying to be over the top. But when you're trying to do a conversational read, man, it just sounds boring sometimes. Like it sounds boring. So
Yeah.
do you really want me to read it boring? Yes, they really want you to read it. They want you to sound like you're talking to a friend and like you're explaining and giving. So one of the things I had to kind of accept was I needed coaching. And so I had to go find good people that are successful in voiceovers or successful coaches to help people do that. And so I've connected with a couple of really awesome coaches in voiceover, and there's been a couple that I've met with once or twice, and we just didn't connect.
Yeah.
Not saying they're bad coaches, not saying they don't know what they're talking about. It just wasn't a good connection for me. And I think that's the other important thing is if you're going to go get coaching, if you want to be successful, you need to connect with a coach who uses words that make sense to you.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
yeah.
I mean, it's the same with anything. I remember when I was in college, I played college football at Rose-Hulman, and my coach my offensive line coach, he said something to me that has stuck with me ever since that day. I didn't like him. He didn't like me. But he said something to me one day. He said, "John, you're an actor, not a reactor." And it came out of the fact that they had initially put me on defensive line. And in 2-a-days, in summer practice right before we started the season, I was getting wrecked every day. Like,
yeah.
The only thing that I was getting in the way of was the grass from the sunshine. Like every play, I'm on my back. And so they made the decision to move me over to offensive line, and it was like night and day. It was like way better.
Yeah.
I understood what I was supposed to do. I could go do that thing. I could execute the plan. And he said to me, "John, he didn't call me John. I forget what he wanted to call me Chunk, and I refused to let him do that. So I was like, I have a nickname. It's Boz. You call me Boz, or I probably won't respond." So anyway, whole other sidebar there. But he said to me, "You're an actor, not a reactor," and that has applied to my life in like so many different ways. Mm-hmm. And it really talks about me to a T. Like I'm not a planner. I don't like coming up with content. I don't like doing all those things. But if you give me something, I can perform it. Like I can go take that and do with it what you want. I take direction really well. I've been given that feedback several times, and that's where I'm at. So finding a coach that uses words that make sense to you and resonate with you is a huge thing. And I've been blessed to find a couple of coaches that are like that for me, and they've really helped me a lot.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And I mean, I'm even thinking about my experience on the video side, I can see that a lot. Even when you're talking about a coach, even looking at your favorite YouTubers,
right,
or whoever you're learning something from, there are hundreds of people out there teaching the same thing, but there's somebody that you connect more with, and it clicks that like, oh, this makes sense to me now.
Absolutely.
And I mean, that's huge. But I also go back to just what you were saying about the style of voiceovers, and you don't have to have that radio voice anymore. No. We do so many voiceovers for videos, and a lot of them, the company wants something specific, but it's pretty much never, we want a guy who sounds like a radio announcer.
Right.
Or we want the guy from the movies that's the In a World guy or whatever, you know, and it's always like, we want somebody who sounds friendly and somebody who sounds natural and conversational and
real
those kinds
person
of things.
Conversational. That's the description on so many of them. Yeah.
But it goes to like, you don't have to be that guy.
Right.
To do this kind of work, because it's almost it's a lot less desired probably than the other side now. Yeah. People just want it to be real.
They want it to be real. They want it to be authentic. I mean, authenticity is like a huge word. You hear it all the time. We want this to be authentic, all those kinds of things. And it's the same with voiceover. They want a connection. They want you to be able to, through the words you're saying, connect to people, to draw them in, to help them understand the message and what's trying to be communicated.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Man, some good stuff in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm trying to think if I got any other questions for you. That's really good. I also don't want to waste them all because I probably want to have you come back.
Hey, I'm game.
So
there's a microphone involved, so I'm pretty much, and cameras.
So if you want, I'm going to get some free work out of you.
Okay.
If you want to close out our Tell Your Story podcast today with a little voiceover.
All right.
First of all, let's reiterate, where can people go to hire you?
People can find me at my website, johnbasler.com, and my last name is Basler, so JOHNBASLER.com, johnbasler.com. You can find me there. All my contact info's there, all the connections to my social media, samples of my work, it's all there.
Yeah. Cool. All right. You got an outro for us?
An outro for us?
Lean into that mic and use your best voiceover voice.
All right. And this is the Tell Your Story podcast.
Tell Your Story podcast.
Okay. All right.
From Ryan Furr Creative.
All right. See what I'm doing. Let me do some lip trills. Hold.
Get warmed up.
Okay. Do some lip trills. Okay. Thank you for listening to the Tell Your Story podcast from Ryan Furr Creative.
I like it.
Is that good enough?
That's great.
You want more? You want something different?
That's perfect. Can you read it in a higher voice?
Can I read it in a higher voice? Ryan wants a teenage girl to read the outro. So here we go. Just got out of math class, and I just want to thank you so much for listening to the Tell Your Story podcast from Ryan Furr Creative. We're glad you were here. We hope you learned something. Have a fantastic day.
That's exactly what I was looking for. Oh, seriously, man. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Super fun.
And we'll definitely talk again soon.
Sounds good.
All right, man.
Yep.